Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we gotta look at the new Italian Tier 6 battleship. I'm calling it Caracciolo. Who knows what it's actually called? Littorio. Accuracy Commander. We got Von Essen Scharnhorst. Now, Littorio is currently the only accuracy commander available. I don't think that's right. I think they need to put a historic one in there that you can get for free. I've heard that that's the plan, but they need to do that sooner rather than later, in my opinion. I've been fairly vocal on my opinion on that, though, so we'll leave that there. Two brothers capture the base mode. A lot of battleships. Now, on this map here, I wish they would move the spawns maybe back one or two squares here. A lot of the players in the game want all the spawns moved back. I don't generally have a problem with them, but this map, and especially in this scenario, where number one, we're in a battleship. Number two, even worse, we got a high battleship count game. These games tend to be really boring. Now, luckily, there's some destroyers to spot, because you'll get those games where there's no destroyers, and then there's a lot of battleships, and then it's a snooze fest. Okay, but the reason that this is a problem for the battleship deployment is when we're playing multiple battleships in roughly the same position, we want to spread them out as quickly or as far as possible. Okay, but to do so on this map, very difficult. You basically have to sail southward if you're on the south spawn, sail northward, and kind of add a diagonal. And due to the fact that these games aren't, they're 15 minutes, they're not 20 minutes, so we don't have a lot of time to spend on early deployment. Wasting your time doing that can be costly as well. So, unfortunately, we're kind of doing what all the other battleships tend to do, except for this Colorado, he's going up the gut. We'll keep an eye on his progress. But keep an eye on the time. He's made the decision to go up there now, just shy of 14 minutes. I think he'll see the first ship at about 11:30, I want to say. So that's, 2.5 minutes of dead time that you're not contributing. I don't recommend that play for that reason. Once again, a huge percentage of the game. 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes out of a 15-minute game, that's significant. 15% of the game. You're not even available to shoot, leaving your team at a disadvantage. That's a problem. Colorado's actually asking me for help, like I'm going to go up there with him. Yeah, right. Anyway, so we're going to do what we're going to do here. This is kind of a little bit of a slogfest. To start, we'll go over the stats quickly on this Caracciolo here. Now, low health. I think second or third lowest at the tier for battleships. Guns, 381s. So not huge caliber guns. Reload, very slow on this build, 33. Of course, Paulo would get that down because that's his base trade, affects that. And the build's more of a reload build anyways. Range, low. Turret traverse, good. But then damage, low. Fire starting chance, low. So AP damage isn't bad. But offensively, when you look at the stats on paper, compare them to the other ships, not a lot stands out to be like, okay, wow, that's amazing. And the guns, when we're playing the ship, you get a lot of overpens. So the gun performance doesn't wow me. AA, pretty good, actually. 71 rating, which is, above average if you take out the American, North Carolina, and Florida, which are in the high 90s. But after that, 71 AA rating, looks to be above average for a Tier 6 battleship. So not bad there. Speed, very good, 29. And looking at my builds, it looks like I got a couple ships with a 30. 29 knots, very good. Turn radius, outstanding, 740. Just, again, a couple battleships better than that, but much better than a lot of them. So, maneuverability-wise, quite nice. And that's kind of one of the features with these Italian battleships. I've known that since playing the Giulio, the Roma. Those ones have good maneuverability as well, but the entire line does as well. And concealment, pretty decent. Probably about above average concealment there. So, where's the strengths? Well, the maneuverability is good. The secondary's vicious. We get this SAP, our first look at SAP in the game. This is, of course, with the main guns. And look at up the gut there. The Colorado's meeting the Flint finally. So, once again, it was about 2.5 minutes for him to decide to go up there and then to get there. And keep an eye on his progress. But anyway, the secondaries, now they're relatively low range. I've heard some people saying they're hearing some of the other guys talking about running high secondary builds. I tried a couple games with Von Hipper and Haruna, basically the god tier secondary build, and you only get the range up about a kilometer and a half, going all in on those, and it's still going to be close range. Okay, so I think our reach on this one, I can't remember. I think it's like 4 or 7 or something. But thinking back to the Tier 7, which I played a lot and done most of my secondary experiments on that one, yeah, I think you go from about a 6 kilometer range. We'll check that ship out soon and talk about it a little bit more. But 6 kilometers maybe gets it up to 7.5. And that's a lot. You got to sacrifice a lot of other performance to get that. So in my mind, not worth it. If you're going to be that close to someone, you're going to be that close to someone anyways. Speaking of that, jumping into this match here, we're already in a serious problem here. Western flank completely wiped except for one cruiser. That's why we're rushing this Maz. And luckily our destroyer was moving into proxy spot him. Risky. But we get our shots off. We did have HE loaded for it. Trying to, once again, we knew this guy was kind of caught over here if you looked on the map. Missed him with the follow-up salvo, but here's the secondaries. And we do have the secondary reload booster going off and Vicious. And no chance to survive that that close range. Destroyers, you got to be extremely... don't rush these things. Don't rush battleships in general. It's far too common of a play. It's very situational when you actually want to bum rush a battleship. But a lot of the newer destroyer players, that's the only play they make. That's really not going to work against these Italians, especially if you happen to go against one that's backed out for the secondaries. Then you're in serious trouble. They'll tear you to shreds. So, you know, we got the destroyer off the board. In fact, both their destroyers on the red team gone. Ours is briefly alive here, but I think he goes down there by the Parsival, gets him with the torp. So both destroyers removed, both carriers remain. Now, here's the situation we find ourselves in. The West about to fall. We got a cruiser going against multiple battleships over there. How long it's going to take, we don't know. Also, the Colorado, if you noticed, he did lose to the Flint. Okay, so going up the gut and then dying, not necessarily the most profitable play, but that's the one he elected to do. And now it looks like our battleships are kind of like on this side. They're like, okay, we got to press forward here. I was pressing forward to get that Maz off, but now we're backing up, and this is why. The Flint over here, he's basically got a free shot to, number one, the base, which is going to be important as the game progresses here. The score is going to become vital at the end. This is going to be a very tight match at the end here. So him being on that base, his team's getting 2 points every 5 seconds. We got to stop that as quick as possible. So he's got that. Of course, if nobody turns around to reset him, he'll just capture the base, which is also known as conceding the game. I definitely don't like to do that. And he's got shots at the carrier, who's already taking damage here. So the carrier could have probably kept an eye on the map and repositioned earlier. That'll be something we'll note a couple times for him. He does have a pretty good game overall, though. But Flint, we're coming around here trying to keep the carrier alive, trying to get him off the cap, get that scoring down. We get him decently, 4 over pens. But once again, the secondary is going off now. I think he's got torps, so we got to be careful about doing this here. But luckily, the carrier gets him with the torpedoes right there before he can get him off on us. I'm still going to angle towards him, point the rear of the ship towards his body, just because I am expecting torpedoes coming our way. Until we've proven that they're not coming our way, we need to protect against them. So we got pretty good situation in terms of our own health. But other than that, the game not looking so hot. 3 battleships versus 4 battleships and a carrier per side. Okay, so we could join in. We're going to have like a 1 or 2 minute gap here where we're not really going to be firing. I'm going to be looking for shots to this gap, but the criticism you could maybe come up with here is, why aren't you pressing with those 2 battleships? 3v1ing that dude, 3v1ing the other dude. Well, number one, we had to defend against the Flint, like we just saw. That would have been a losing play had we not done that. But now, why we're not doing that is the battleship on the west. Whatever it is killed the cruiser. He's got unfettered access. And most certainly he's going to be pressing down here, trying to get crossfire shots, trying to get on the base. So once again, if we leave the cap area to push north, then all the chips are being pushed all in. Okay, we have to kill those guys in the cap, and we have to get on their cap and not get reset all before they happen to get on our cap, which is extremely unlikely. We have no idea where the battleship is at this point, but he could be very close to our cap, and we have to still kill multiple battleships over there to pressure that cap. So, 2 brothers capture the base mode. It's ingrained in my mind playing this map. Like, I have trouble with domination mode because I'm extremely hesitant to get too far away from the spawns, just because you will lose game after game after game on capture the base mode, where your team just doesn't have anyone playing defense, and it just takes so long to get around these huge islands that basically you're going to lose a lot of games by conceding the cap. So that's the issue we're up against. This carrier player, once again, he'll do a great job. We're going to, I don't know if we already did or we're about to, but we need him to kill the Parsifal. I'll call that shot for him, and he does respond. He will do that. He does a great job from that perspective, but I don't know. He's not doing a good job of moving here. Generally, you want to, as the carrier player, keep the bulk of your force in between you and the bulk of the red force. So in my mind, he needs to move over about 3 squares to that big island to his east to be safe. But nonetheless, we're going to stay over here trying to protect him. King George coming in here now, trying to create a crossfire. But look on the map here. We got the, whatever that Russian thing is, Tier 7 Russian directly behind us. And then just due to how this approaches here, you know, we're able to basically point the rear in between these two ships steeply. And neither of them can get a big booming shot on me. So, you know, there we're basically largely protected from the Soviet. And the King George, if he hits us here, he might get some scoring shots. But look on the diagram at the bottom. We're pretty steeply angled on him. And you can see the fleet of the battleships on the east beginning to get withered down. We got 2 left here, 3 on the red team. Here's the secondaries going off once again, and we're content to just back in here. Even if he gets some secondary hits on us, no big deal. Look at these numbers we're getting here. Trying to knock the guns out, but if we miss the guns, well, the shots will go into the superstructure, and big damage results anyway. So King George, all we got to do is kind of back into him briefly, and then main guns / secondary guns took him out. Remain angled on the Vlad here. Yes, that's the name of the Tier 7 Russian, the Vladivostok. We're going to pop the smoke here. Now, the smoke fire penalties, you got to remember this on these battleships when we're trying to use the smoke. You can't be like, okay, I popped the smoke, I'm going to shoot like a destroyer would. Because your smoke fire penalty, 13.1 kilometer detection. Okay, it's basically, you have 13.7 on this build, C detection. So if you shoot, you're almost certainly going to get spotted by anything you can shoot unless they're at the very far edge of your firing range. So using the smoke, and I'm thinking back, watching this match a couple times now, and getting back to the point I was making about the deployment early on, maybe we could have used the speed and the smoke on this, the 45-second smoke, to actually move to the west and get some crossfire shots. That's something I don't normally consider as a battleship player too much, but I'm going to try and keep that in mind next time I play the Tier 6 or 7 Italian battleship on this map. See if we can get into those creative positions. Caracciolo coming around here now. I'm trying to keep our guy alive. I'm also trying to protect myself against the Vlad by moving forward here, limiting the shots he's got. But, ooh, we get a decent shot there on their Tier 6 Italian. And we basically need that Colorado to back off. You can see we're down 10 points, 12 points at this point in time. And that is from when that Flint was on the cap. Those, you know, must have been about a minute or so. 30 seconds, minute, I can't do math. But however long he was on there accruing those points, that's the difference in the score. Because we still each have a carrier and 2 battleships. So the score based on the ships is equal until we lose the Colorado there. But because they increased the background score, the lead by getting on the cap, that was the brilliance of that play. So now we're in serious trouble here. We got a carrier per side. Or no, he actually killed the carrier a while ago. I forgot that. The Percival's been dead, so it was battleship, and then we actually have 10 more points because our carrier is worth 10 more points than the battleship. So that's part of it. I guess this game's even closer than I thought. However that happened, I don't know. Anyway, desperation times here. We're angled against the Vlad, mostly angled against the North Carolina, and backing up. We're trying to limit the ability of that 3rd ship to hit us because he's got the best shot at us in the sides there, and you can see he's trying to get us, but largely doesn't do a lot of damage there. North Carolina, we're targeting his guns and doing the best we can there, hoping those secondaries will help out, and once again, angled against the Vlad. So, you know, one of your main goals with battleships and ships in general is limit how many ships can shoot you at a given time. And basically, I'm trying to keep these 2 ships in front of me, unable to score juicy damage until we get the guns reloaded. Once again, aiming at the turrets, getting some decent knockout hits. He's knocking some of ours out as well. But, you know, any shot that goes beyond that into the superstructure, that will get more damage. And then if we knock the turrets out, that lowers the damage output that they can use on us. which is, of course, beneficial when we're in these trading scenarios. Carrier, great strike here, comes in on the North Carolina, hits him with a couple torps, and now we're just basically going to be pointing right at him, committing to killing him with these front guns here. Once again, we'll aim at the turrets because he's moving forward to the right. Those should just mainly go in the superstructure, knock out a turret, fine, good result. Secondaries, get him here, and check this out. We pop the smoke. Now, that's not going to have a huge impact necessarily, but might as well pop it and then fire the main guns, and whammo! A double. And now we're actually in the lead. We needed to sink 2 battleships, and because those guys pressed in, we got it. And the guy was talking over the calls there, so we're not going to do Little John this time. But that was a pretty big double strike to finish the match. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We've got lots of World of Warships coming all the time for you. Questions, comments, leave them below. I do love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.